evening, everyone, and welcome to Generally Irritable. I am super excited. I'm fangirling a little bit about our guest tonight, Matthew Taylor. I'm just gonna go right into it. Matthew Taylor is our guest tonight. He is known owner Lightspeed Pictures. Okay, he's gonna correct me when I get this, but we're having him on tonight to talk about his most recent project called Government Gangsters, produced in cooperation with War Room War Room Films. Hold on, you guys. I'm going to share my screen so you can see this guy over here. Government Gangsters. This film, it is Russiagate from start to finish, you guys. It is all of the information, all of the nonsense you've heard since Donald Trump went down the golden escalator back in the day. It's basically all of the nonsense, but condensed into one place. So that way, when we're going through this election season, when we're going through this election cycle, that you can talk to your friends, talk to your family, and say, yeah, the deep state is real. It is a bunch of nonsense. And you've got the language, you've got the stories, you've got the names of the players to put to it. And so this is just the most recent project from Matthew Taylor and Lightspeed Pictures. He's also the guy behind Clinton Cash and some other really cool projects, just exposing the nonsense and the bull crap going on, that we know is going on, that we just can't see, right? The average American, we're just running through our day-to-day life, trying to get along, paying our bills, feeding our kids, doing whatever. And so it's hard to keep up and keep track of
everything that these crazy, terrible people are doing, right?
so we need people like Matt and his lovely wife, who I don't know. Can I say her name? Is she even in the public? Okay, I see Matt, Michelle Taylor, his lovely wife, Michelle. And you know what, you guys, this was such a fun topic that Lord Reddick, a darker perspective, decided to join us for the conversation. So, you know what? Instead of me just like being in here blah blah blahing all night, let's just bring in the whole team. Hey, you guys.
Hey there, how you doing?
Good, good. Matthew Taylor, I am so grateful to have you with us this evening to talk about Government Gangsters. Okay, so for our viewers and all the people out there, why don't you give your like 30 to 60-second resume, because it is seriously impressive. The movies and the productions you've done are really impressive. What would you say are the ones that you're most proud of?
Well, I have a 20-year long history in politics, and I actually came from the art world. So I'm a sculptor, actually, who became a political person. And
What?
I continue working. I do art up to now. And so a lot of it actually informs a lot of the work that I do. And that's why I think our film work looks really different from a lot of other people.
Mm,
But of course, you mentioned Clinton Cash in 2016, which was a critical piece, I think, in winning the 2016 presidential election. He did a
mm.
piece called "Riding the Dragon" with Peter Schweitzer, who we work with quite frequently. And of course, he's amazing in his research, and he's respected by both sides. And he really gets down to who these people are. We worked on Citizens United versus FEC, and back in 2007, 2008, of course, the case came through in 2010, but it was based on a movie called Hillary the Movie. I made a movie called Los Abandonados about some chicanery in Argentina that I think would help sway the country in a more kind of like conservative direction. So I've done
Mm.
about 38 films, and Government Gangsters I think was by far one of the more difficult pieces of work. It's also one of the more disturbing pieces.
Oh
When I
yeah.
spent a lot of time with going through Hillary Clinton's stuff. We made two movies about her, but she's just one person. Government Gangsters is
Mm.
everybody. I also worked presidential elections. I worked for the Bush campaign, the Mitt Romney campaign, Cruz Super PAC, a whole bunch of different campaigns. So I have kind of that perspective as well.
Well, and Matt, one of the things I remember you saying at the premiere here in Austin, Texas, a couple weeks ago was that there was so many players, there were so many people. It was like, who do I pick? Who do I keep? Who how hard was it to pick and choose which players to keep in the movie?
It was pretty difficult because, there are so many. Of course, this is based off Kash Patel's excellent book, Government Gangsters, by the same name. And in the book, he really outlines, each painstakingly each of these people, because there's not just the people like James Comey.
Mhm.
It's also these nameless bureaucrats that like you've never heard of. I mean, the entire Trump impeachment is based on Eric Sharmella. Who's this guy? Never heard of him before, but he's like the reason this happened. And so actually Epoch Times actually did a really cool poster that outlined all of these people. And there's literally
Oh, I love it.
there's dot after dot after dot of people I've never even heard of. And I've worked in this business for decades. And so, we ended up kind of focusing on the people that kind of represented the revolving door of Washington. So the story may be about James Comey, and he's replaced by Christopher Wray, but ultimately they're kind of the same guy, right? They're the same guy, and one replaces the other just to maintain the system in perpetuity. So,
Oh yeah, that whole
absolutely.
what is it? You cut off this head of the snake and one
Yeah.
more pops up or whatever it
Yeah,
We
is.
like
call
the
him Medusa
Hydra.
film, yeah. With the Hydra
Yeah.
is another one, yeah. And so that's really kind of how we picked it. We picked all the main players. Yeah, there it is. The
Yeah.
spy. The thing is, it's double-sided. Like and there's two of them. There's another poster as well. So they're double-sided. There are so many
Wow.
people. Yeah, it's huge. The poster's massive. So
Well,
that was a really cool thing that Epoch Times did. I was really glad they did. But the thing is, we picked people who would really specifically show the incredible corruptness of what these people do and how they do it. And honestly, like they kept trying and trying and trying. And so the story naturally tells itself. I mean, you start with Clinton emails, you go to Russiagate, you go to impeachment, you go to this, you go to that. They kind of lined everything up for us. And so thank you, Deep State.
So I don't know if it's like this for you, but I know for me, the more I went along in my life, right? I'm an accountant by trade, but as an accountant, I actually see the government nonsense. I see how it affects small businesses, how it affects individuals, and just the more I get into it, and then the deeper I look into politics, the more I distrust the government, and the smaller and smaller I want it to be.
Yeah.
And I feel like what you exposed, what you and Cash were able to expose here, really is how much bloat there is in the government, and just how strong their ability is to really mess up your life.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I'm from the DC area. I was born there. My grandma worked in Treasury, and I have relatives in the government, and so I kind of grew up in the area. And it's a very like I say it's the biggest welfare system in America, right? That's what it is. It's a place where like people, they can't be fired. They can just because again, everyone
Wow.
thinks the president comes in and replaces the whole government, but that's not really what happens. He picks some essentially department heads or appointees, like the head of the FBI or the head of the CIA.
Mm.
But there's all these other people there that are just like, I don't know what they're doing, or I do know what they're doing, and they're this. It doesn't matter if the Secretary of State tells the rest of the State Department to do something. If they just don't want to do it, they just kind of don't have to, or you can't fire them, you can't get rid of them, you can't make anything efficient. And look, there's times where government shouldn't be efficient. I think obviously the checks and balances system that's set up by the Constitution and things is inefficient by design
On purpose.
on purpose for good reason. But that has been expanded into, one of the things we actually couldn't cover that is in the Government Gangster books is the, military industrial complex, because of course, Cash was over DOD, the Department of Defense. And, it's just endless projects. The F-35 project cost $1.3 trillion all
And was a
in.
disaster.
Yeah, and it's not the best plane, It's one of those things where it's maintaining itself.
What do you
Well,
mean?
wait,
What do you don't
well,
want to spend
wait.
23 trillion and have the
But-
planes crash? I don't know what your problem is, Matthew.
That's the thing. When you said, government, you don't always want to be efficient. This is one of the areas you do want them to be efficient in the way they spend our money.
100%.
It's ridiculous. And it's funny because, my family wasn't government as far as like, white collar, but they were military. And so I was raised Fort Hood, Fort Cavazos now. I don't know that. That's annoying to try to change up. But the point is it's Fort Hood. I'm sorry. You often hear older military guys telling us younger guys saying, hey, go get a government job. They can't fire you.
Yeah.
And me, because I've been alive long enough, I'm like, yeah, but that's tax money.
Yeah.
And you're saying go get a job that allows me to be inefficient with everybody else's money.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
It's a
All right.
welfare system. That's what the
And
government is.
literally, it's a giant. It's like,
Giant welfare system.
but with way bigger paychecks, way bigger checks.
And
oh my
dangerous.
gosh.
I mean, that's the other thing. It's dangerous because it affects all sorts of trends throughout the world, and that's really kind of one of the important things about what we were making here is showing that, like, you have these people. We'll use Christopher Wray, who's the current sitting head of the FBI. They bounce around in the system for decades, and one day they're just the head of the FBI or they're the head of the CIA. And so that's when you watch the movie, and I think I talked about this at the premiere. We had these title cards being like, "This is the guy, and here's what he does, and right, and this is where he served." And Kash goes through. He started here, he went there, and what you realize is, I really wanted the audience to understand that these guys have been here forever. They're bouncing around. They're just moving from this. And it doesn't matter if it's Obama or Bush or even Trump. Like, of course, we talk about Gina Haspel, right? She's a government gangster. She's one of these people. But guess what? She was in the government. She was put into her position by Donald Trump. And, and then it's you don't always know that they're going to work against you at some point in time, but that's a question I get asked a lot. Well, did he know? I mean, if you are bouncing around in the system, the assumption is, well, you know how the system works and maybe you should be there. And some of these people should. I mean, that's the thing. We have to be careful about the accountability part. But the thing is we need to have accountability, and then we'll know who should be there in the first place.
Isn't one of the management philosophies that you get promoted to your highest level of incompetence?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You
basically
fail
you go up until you're terrible.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, Washington is like that. And again, I'm a Washingtonian. I've lived in New York and all over the place, but at the end of the day, I'm a Washingtonian. That's where my family came from and all that. And so, like, it is a fail upward city. It's not like New York. It's not a meritocracy. It's a fail upward type of place with unlimited resources. I mean, you have these people making millions of dollars when they are capped at $186,000 in Congress. How is that happening? I know how it's happening. Well, we've made movies about that before too. So
Okay. So hang on. Can we play the trailer?
Oh, please, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, Ben, what is it that I have to do to make the audio not echo?
You have to mute your microphone.
My actual microphone, like this. Like mute this microphone.
Yes.
Okay.
Government gangsters are the group of individuals, career bureaucrats, who have been installed by what we call the deep state into every agency and department in the United States government. Had Donald Trump not won in 2016, he would not have exposed the flank of the deep state and their weapon of choice, the two-tier system of justice. From Russiagate to Hunter Biden's laptop to Joe Biden's classified documents case to January 6th to the 51 intel letter and everything in between. We would never have learned that. These people are dangerous and vindictive, learning from their mistakes and perfecting ways to hide their corruption.
It is finally time for a straightforward assessment of the state of our nation.
All right. That's fantastic. Fantastic, you guys. I got to go see the premiere at Alamo Drafthouse here in Austin. First of all, just as a filmmaker, artist person, excellent job on the editing, excellent job on the sound design. Really, I was like, dang, this is a documentary about boring stuff, and I am riveted.
Yeah, we do a lot of boring topics, so we have to make them really exciting. But
So,
you know, it's crazy because it sounds like we make it up. Like that's the crazy. When you watch the movie, you're like, oh, this doesn't happen, but it does. It's real.
you're like, no way, these people really exist. And the amount of what I heard somebody say once, and I do not remember that, I did not make this up, but basically the idea is that it doesn't even require collusion for like dumb things to happen. It just requires everybody kind of having the same feeling. And so when you have all this propaganda, right, that Donald Trump is Hitler and it's the end of the right, it's the end of the world and everybody's, whatever, then you sort of set into motion anybody who is, prone to be persuaded to act deceptively. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, a big part of it is like a lot of people go, "Is there one guy who's pulling the strings, like the cigarette smoking man from X Files?"
Right? Yes.
I would say no. I mean, if you think about it, like you nailed it. It's just there are some of these people who really think they're doing the right thing. They're just like, Donald Trump is a threat to America, and he has to be done away with. And here's the thing: we focus on the Trump years, right? Trump into Biden, but like, make no mistake, these guys have been doing this stuff for decades, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's Kennedy, whether it's Martin Luther King assassination, we hear all the stories.
Oh yeah.
Nixon. I mean, this is what we're covering is the time they got caught.
Yeah.
That's what we did, because for some reason they got out over their skis on this one. And look, you want to like sway the election and do these kinds of things, which is kind of part of the toolkit. Donald Trump caused them all to overexpose, and when he won, they were caught having done wrong things, and they had to pivot their strategy, and they kept having to pound away at him, because it's almost like a Ponzi scheme, right? Like they made the investment, and then they're like, oh, we need more money, and they had to do it again. And
dude, TDS is real, bro. Like, and just like they say, they could have solved abortion or all these other things 1,000 times over if they really wanted to, but they fundraise off of it, so they have no incentive to actually fix any problems.
Yeah, and that's an issue across both parties. I mean, that's an issue. Like, I always said Obamacare is the biggest fundraiser for Republicans for years. When they finally got control of the government, they were like, "Oh yeah, we don't really have a solution."
Okay, so how does this is the how does a sculptor artist go from that to producing Citizens United versus oh my god,
FPC? Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. How do you tell me the progression? How do you get there?
Well, I went to art school, and I'm a late '90s Kevin Gen Xer, so like, awesome. So like, yeah, so like I went back to DC after art school, and I needed a job, and so I actually ended up getting hired by the Bush campaign to push tapes. Just a real low-level position, and I ended up making a very famous TV ad called John Kerry's Windsurfing, and I was 25 years old, and I had no idea that it was significant at all. I just was doing my job, and so because I learned, I did art films when I was in art school, so I knew how to edit. I knew had a little bit of a video engineering background.
Yeah.
And one thing led to another. I do the midterms. I did a film with Citizens United, one of my first, where I embedded with the Border Patrol. I've been, in all sorts of crazy situations. It was called Border War, that came out in 2006. We made multiple Reagan films. I did a lot of work with Steve Bannon on his films. That's where I would meet him, I think roughly 18 years ago now. and I would work on most of the Newt Gingrich films, his Reagan film, his John Paul II Pope film. Traveled around the world. It was really fun. And then I would jump back into politics with the Romney campaign, and eventually would lead to I moved to New York to make an art film, and I ended up working with on the Cruz Super PAC, and then when we were pummeled by the Donald to work. The Donald Super PAC. So yeah, and so like it was, and then all along the way we were making movies and making films that would tell stories like what Government Gangsters tells, whether it's the Clinton Foundation, whether it's Hunter Biden, whether it's the assassination of Alberto Nisman in Argentina, or whether it's Google and Facebook, like swaying elections. I mean, it was all sorts of kinds of things that we were doing simultaneously while doing art as well. And so they inform each other. And I think that, it's a lot of films makers on our side make there's a lot of good people. But we like to really infuse a lot of aesthetic, a lot of market level quality. And this one we made in 6 weeks, which is insane.
That's outrageous.
I never want to do that again.
I love it.
Well, and this is one of the things Benjamin and I talk about all the time is how badly the right wing needs their artists.
Oh yeah.
Because conservatives are traditionally very logical, right? Very reasonable, very rational. They are very, right-brained or whatever. And us artist types are very left-brained. And we're the ones who can communicate the message better in a way that will be received by the general population, right? There's a reason that Jesus spoke in parables, right? Storytelling is how people retain this information. And so I just love that you are making, again, you made a documentary exciting. I was making
documentaries great again.
I mean, look, we did a film on the Electoral College, and I actually think it turned out it's a boring topic, but it's a really important topic.
Not to her. She loves the Electoral College.
It was not boring. I did a presentation on the importance of the Electoral College to my local community group in Burlington, Vermont.
Well, you'll love that. I think you'll love. It's called Safeguard: An Electoral College Story, and it's on Amazon. I mean, that's the other thing. A lot of the films we make are also very digestible by all sides. Government Gangsters is a little bit more heavy towards the election, but a lot of the films we made are, when we did our Creepy Line film, we had more aid from the left than the right on that one because they were concerned. Look, everybody was concerned about Google and Facebook in 2018 and 2019.
Yeah.
And people were concerned whether you were left or right. The right was concerned about being, shadow banned. But the left, they have children as well. They live lives and do things, and they don't want that as well. And so I think a lot of the issues we try to cover actually do universally touch people. People are afraid of the FBI, and no matter which side you're on, people are afraid of overreach. I think it's a lot of the films, again, people don't like the Clinton Foundation, and everyone in 2016 knew she was corrupt. Everybody knew, and so I think that's the other thing is there's a certain universalness to people don't like corruption. They just don't like it. And that's kind of our main focus is corruption.
I do think that before Donald Trump, people were more in lockstep with stuff like that. And after Donald Trump, it was like, what was his name? Saul Alinsky, whatever you got to do, whatever it takes to win. And I think it's beautiful. The chaos is lovely because it woke a bunch of people up. And I became even more aware of how ridiculous these people were because of their TDS. For instance, you just said you guys did a project on the border in 2006. I thought we didn't have a problem at the border until
5 minutes ago.
Yeah, we have a big problem.
What were you doing down there if there was no crisis?
Yeah, it is. That's the thing. I mean, I told people, you heard in the premiere, I said, this is not a negative movie. This is a positive movie. And the reason it's a positive movie is because they got caught. They did not succeed. They have all the resources. They have unlimited reach. They have unlimited money. They can show up to your house and grab you. They can do whatever they want. and they were beat. So this is a project about beating them. This shows you how to do it. And Kash Patel was the lead investigator on Russiagate. He found all the stuff. He followed the money. He forced them to basically acquiesce to the investigation. He took a lot of flack. The government themselves wiretapped him and harassed him. The NSA allowed wiretapping of the Trump White House for 9 months. That's absurd.
Do you know
that's crazy.
You know how wild it is to pay tax dollars to the government to then have them
spy on
use the tax dollars to oppress you.
Spy on you. Okay, so hold on. Okay, so now Mr. Taylor, sir, of Lightspeed Pictures, right? Lightspeed Pictures?
Yeah.
Lightspeed Pictures, Matthew Taylor. Before you go, now I know you've got to leave us in 3 minutes. So I'm going to ask you to speculate.
Okay. I'm going to ask you to speculate. We got you for 3 minutes.
So a story just came out from the Denver, Colorado area that blue mailboxes are being broken into. So, the blue mail bins that you stick your mail in at the post office around the corner. So apparently the keys for these mailboxes have gotten out into circulation, and there is a criminal network breaking into the mailboxes and stealing things, check mail, et cetera, and so forth. So my thought was, and it's happening nationally, but it's apparently most prominent in the Denver area because that's where it was reported on, but it is happening nationally. So just in time for the presidential election, with all of these states who have moved to mail-in balloting, what do you think about that story? I would love to get your first impressions on that story as we head into this election season.
I think that the most important thing about all of this is that you'll never put these people in jail. You'll never, but you can stop them in one place, and that is the ballot box. That's it. That you're never going to stop them anywhere else, but you can prevent them moving forward. So election integrity is the most important thing that happens, I think, in this country, because that's it. That is your only power as a regular citizen. So I think that focusing on any kind of shenanigans that happens in an election, no matter who does it, this election integrity should be number one this year. It should be number one, number two, and number three.
Yes.
So, and look, there's all sorts of Tammany Hall style things always going on in elections. But, if you want to stop these people, this is it. This is the only way to do it. So election integrity is my number one thing. It's very important as a person who's worked in many elections. Otherwise, then you can't complain that they're going to run around and do whatever they want.
Amen to that. All right, you guys, you have been watching Mr. Matthew Taylor of Lightspeed Pictures, most recently producer of Government Gangsters. You can find it, you can rent it, you can buy it at warroom.film, excuse me, warroom.film. You can check it out. It's excellent, very digestible. Election integrity. Don't let the government suck. Get involved. That's what I heard. That's what I'm hearing.
Win.
I love it. All right. Thank you so much, Matthew, for joining us this evening. Yes. And for those of you watching, hang out for a word from our sponsor. Before that, though,
if you liked what you heard,
if you got something out of it,
more content like this, please like, share, subscribe, and also go find Matthew on all the socials that he may be on. He's only on Instagram. The link is in the description. Matthew is on Instagram. You can find Kash Patel on Truth Social. Oh, and the Donald tweeted, or the Donald truthed, he truthed about the movie. So y'all go check it out on Truth Social. Yeah. And like and share and all of the things. And let's say a big thanks to today's sponsor, Coffee Brand Coffee. Who loves coffee? Me? I definitely do. I love coffee. Now, I'm a little bit fussy, you guys. I know you're probably surprised to hear that if you've been watching my channel for any length of time. And a coffee brand that I really like is called Coffee Brand Coffee.
Okay, coffeebrandcoffee.com. You guys go check it out, go shop. Use my coupon code generally irritable to get 5% off. Now here's the deal. The discount code doesn't apply to subscriptions because they're already 10% off. So don't get mad. Don't get mad. And no, I don't get a kickback for it. But hey, you're supporting a brand that supports this channel. So we don't care about that. Here's the deal. I'm a dark roast girl. I'm really fussy. But if you are not as fussy as me, you should try the Roaster's Choice Club. You get a different kind of coffee delivered to your door every month. They have direct trade partnerships with the farmers. So you know that they're using good products that are sustainable and they're not screwing over a farmer in some foreign country and getting over on them. We love this brand. Now, Benjamin got me a package for Christmas. I got this awesome mug, you guys. Check this out. It's one of those really thick mugs. Of course, I immediately covered it in stickers because that's what I do. But keeps your coffee hot, or tea, I guess, for a long time. And they do have more than coffee. They have tea, they have cocoa, and they even have snacks. You guys, look at this. Chocolate covered coffee beans. Okay? They've got great snacks. Every holiday that comes around, they have great gift packs for your family. So go to coffeebrandcoffee.com, check out what they've got. Use our coupon code generally irritable. And we thank you for supporting the brands that support this channel.